beach, off the rocks, and to get it back. And that is now the priority, is making sure that that recovery takes place in a safe way.
Kiwi Rail plans to refloat the outer ferry at 9 tonight. Transpower says it's made progress raising a temporary tower in Northland, but it's been unable to fully finish the operation. A pylon fell near Glorit earlier this week, causing region-wide outages that impacted thousands of residents. Transpower's General Manager of Grid Delivery, Mark Riles, says they've had to delay the final phase of work until tomorrow morning, citing safety concerns for crews working on the tower. He says they're still on track to meet their Sunday deadline and boost capacity into Northland ahead of demand rising again from Monday morning. Anglican church leaders have agreed to reduce the seismic strengthening of Christchurch Cathedral to less than a $114 million shortfall. Restoring the quake-damaged cathedral has blown out to almost $250 million. Bishop Peter Carell says today's agreement cuts the funding gap to $85 million. The proposal to raise $16 million by selling church land and buildings was also agreed. The bishop says the 6-hour synod meeting reaffirmed the church's commitment to rebuilding the cathedral.
We agreed to a funding pathway which could see $16.2 million of new funds injected into the cathedral project, and we also agreed to support the acceptance of some reduction in scope of the project.
Peter Carell says today's discussion was robust, but he's relieved by the outcome. A Wellington water crew is working on a burst water main on Jervois Quay in the central city. It says the leak has caused substantial surface flooding on the footpath and left-hand northbound lane of the road. It says the only building which seems to be affected is 115 Jervois Quay, but it's checking the Michael Fowler Centre to ensure its water is still running. Its anticipated water access will be interrupted for at least 6 hours. The author of the Harry Potter novels has criticised the British Labour Party for abandoning women concerned about transgender rights less than 2 weeks before the general election. The BBC's Louisa Pilbeam has more details.
J.K. Rowling has been outspoken in recent years about transgender issues, particularly her belief that biological women should have separate spaces from trans women. In 2021, Fakir criticised comments by the Labour MP Rosie Duffield, who said only women had a cervix. Though earlier this week, he said he agreed that biologically a woman had a vagina. J.K. Rowling says she has been a Labour voter all her adult life. But she says as long as Labour remains dismissive and often offensive towards women concerned about transgender rights, she will struggle to support the party.
And that's the news.
Kia ora, I'm Casey Gossett, and this week on Thrift, get in control of your finances.
I managed to get out of bankruptcy. I paid off a car.
And putting some money in the bank.
It was good to be able to see it grow and knowing that I was heading in the right direction for my kids' future.
Tips on how to actually save money from someone who's done it. Follow and listen to Thrift on your favourite podcast app or at 3:30 p.m. on Tuesdays on RNZ National.
We're funded through New Zealand On Air on radio, rnz.co.nz, and, of course, on your mobile. The updated short forecast now from mid-service to midnight tomorrow for Northland. Showers turning to rain tonight, possibly heavy, then clearing to cloudy periods tomorrow afternoon. Auckland to Waitomo, including Coromandel Peninsula, Bay of Plenty and the Central High Country. A few showers, rain developing overnight with heavy falls, thunderstorms and downpours possible, clearing from the west later tomorrow. Brisbane to Wairarapa, fine tonight, rain developing from tomorrow morning, clearing about inland Hawke's Bay and Wairarapa tomorrow evening. Taranaki, rain heavy at times tomorrow with possible thunderstorms and downpours, easing to a few showers tomorrow afternoon. Whanganui to Wellington, rain developing overnight, clearing from tomorrow afternoon. Nelson, Buller and Marlborough, rain with heavy falls, thunderstorms and downpours possible in Nelson tomorrow morning. The showers tomorrow afternoon. Westland and Fiordland, showers clearing tomorrow afternoon. Canterbury, Otago and Southland, partly cloudy. Rain developing about Canterbury and Otago tomorrow. And the Chatham Islands, cloudy periods, showers possible. 7:05, news and weather again at 8. Welcome, everybody, to Saturday Night Requests.
现在100平制的，从2号到24号。 在我国的东南北部、贵州、江汉的东部、江淮的南部等地呢会有中到大雨，部分地区呢会有暴雨，局地呢会有大暴雨。那么上述地区呢会伴有短时的强降水，局地呢会有雷暴大风等强对流天气。与此同时呢，在未来3天，在内蒙古的东部、东北地区等地呢会有雷阵雨天气。那上述的部分地区呢会有中到大雨，局地呢会有暴雨或者大暴雨，同时呢也会伴有雷暴大风或者冰雹等这种强对流天气。那么具体来说呢，从22号的上午8点到23号的上午8点，在内蒙古的东南部、吉林的中东部、辽宁的东北部和西部、安徽的南部、湖南的北部、江西的北部、浙江的北部等地呢，部分地区呢将会有8级以上的雷暴大风或者是冰雹天气。其中呢，像辽宁的东北部、安徽的南部等地呢。
学生饮食安全，营养可口，
一定要注意这个卫生，让孩子们吃营养健康。
习近平来到宿舍楼，查看学生住宿条件。
我们是全天候的对应。
之后，他来到高一一班教室，观摩新时代新家乡主题思政课。了解到学校将思政课内容融入日常教学，听了孩子们讲述新时代家乡的可喜变化，看了孩子们的画作，习近平十分高兴。他说，包括教育在内的东西部协作和对口支援取得显著成效，充分彰显了中国共产党领导和中国特色社会主义制度的优势，充分体现了中华民族大家庭的温暖。要把重脑从小就植入孩子们的心灵，
珍惜这个好的条件，好好上学，你们的人生会有很多的机会。
教学楼前广场上，师生们纷纷围拢过来，高声向总书记问好。习近平亲切地对大家说：“我到西宁第一站就来看望老师和同学们。上海援建的这所中学，培养来自果洛牧师的各民族孩子，成效明显，意义深远。希望孩子们倍加珍惜这里的良好条件，心怀感恩，好好学习。”
所以我觉得这次西班牙队在欧洲杯开始之前，它确实不是争冠最大的热门，最大热门是英国和法国，但是它也是排在第3和第4位的这种球队，所以这2场小组赛对于提高西班牙队的自信心我觉得是非常有帮助的。
现在西班牙显露出冠军相了吗？已经2场拿6分，而且对手也都不弱呀。
对，
一个是这都是硬仗啊，一个是克罗地亚3-0，一个是1-0赢了意大利，这个就至少是夺冠的第一梯队，还没有。就是这个00后的这些小将们还需要历练。宋阳觉得呢？
我其实是一个意大利球迷就从小
够花心的呀，穿着英格兰的队服。
对，就是这一会儿我解释一下。
对，不用解释了。
其实小时候是很喜欢意大利的。小时候我跟那个英扎吉，我给他写过信，他还给我回过信
啊，真的呀？
对，
哎呦，下次你带来让我们看看，英扎吉还给你回。
对，
英扎这么花心的英扎吉，居然给你一个中国。
他那个时候正好有一个就是 AC 米兰的一个活动，
明白。
然后那个就是有全球各地的这个球迷给他，可能也是他自己写的吧。
但也很难得了，多难得呀！
对，然后那个马尔蒂尼前2年来这个中国做这个传奇杯的时候，当时我还带着马尔蒂尼去这个奥刚玩了一圈，还跟他合了影所以其实包括皮尔洛我都是很喜欢他们。
It was a cultural thing that had been beaten into me my whole life. And then I had a friend from New Zealand sit me down. He said, Jason, in New Zealand we also don't tip. In Australia we also don't tip. And when you come to China and you start tipping like this, the people aren't grateful. Firstly, they're confused. And secondly, it might even make people think, like, question their reality. Like, hey, wait. am I not getting paid enough, or should I be paid more, or like what is there some sociocultural thing that I'm, it might actually hurt people in society? After he had this conversation with me, I stopped tipping. I mean, I tip occasionally. Now, and we've talked about this before. If a delivery person coming to my home had an unusually difficult time getting to my home because of whatever, maybe it's even my fault, right? Maybe I put the instructions in wrong. Then I will tip 5 or 10, 15 RMB because I feel like I wasted their time or something, and they deserve to be compensated for the failing that went on during that period of time. But normally, 99% of the time, the deliveries just come on time and where they're supposed to, so there's no problem.
Yeah, and then they give you the option in the app where you can add a little bit of gratitude. That's very nice. Like 15, 20 kuai is very generous, Jason.
Yeah,
that's great. That you're an awesome human being for doing that. But for people like me, if I order something that's super heavy, I live in a building that doesn't have elevators and they have to climb up the stairs, or it's a bit really bad weather, then I give them like because there are options you can pick, like 3 kuai to 5 kuai, which is not a lot. It doesn't make you feel like you're paying an extra bill for the person, but you also show that you're a little, here's my gratitude for you. And then if they deliver like 20, 30 bills and stuff, on a bad day, they do make a little more. But, there's options for people to do that, but people just don't expect it.
Well, I think the big thing people are going to want to hear on this show is, what about Chinese people? Are there culturally identifying habits that Chinese people use when they're abroad? So I just want to be briefly, because, I think in America, in the United States of America, there are a lot of people who don't know, is this person Japanese? Is this person Korean? Is this person Chinese? So I want to tell a story about the 1990s, and I think this might be true today, too.
Yeah.
Most great cameras are made in Japan. They still are. This is true. So in the 1990s, Japanese tourists were very wealthy globally, and they were traveling all over the world. And one of the things that was going on in America was a stereotype that Japanese tourists walk around with cameras dangling around their necks. And so in a lot of movies, you see Japanese tourists walking through New York City with cameras taking pictures of everything.
Yeah.
So that was a culturally telling thing about East Asians at that time. But in terms of Chinese going abroad, I can't think of a lot of really obviously culturally identifying features. But I do, statistically, and this is true, Chinese people are super savers. Back home in China, when they're in their homes and they're just going about their daily lives, they tend to save roughly 40% of their income, which is higher than the national average, far higher than the U.S. average, higher than the EU average, etc. So what's interesting is Chinese people are very difficult to get to with their cash when they're traveling, when they're on a holiday. So if they're in like Paris, they're in LVMH stores buying things that even Americans would be like, I don't think I can afford this.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think I've mentioned the saying, we call it 穷家富路, meaning that I could save, I could be frugal at home, but I will spend when I'm on the road so that you can have a extra comfort, you can have the safety, you can have the reassurance so that you're not worried about uncertainties. And again, when you're traveling, I'm already paying for service and paying for joy. So I'm going to just spend the cash, spend the money on whatever I can afford on the way. And then people do like to, was especially true maybe a couple of years ago when people were trying to buy luxury items overseas because they do get a better deal. And also, they're thinking, I'm in the fashion capital of the world. Of course, I'm going to buy some fashionable items there.
Yeah, I went to America, and my wife is Chinese. She stayed here, and this is, 2014 to 15. And I was just like in the local Kmart, which is like, the low bar for like buying stuff. And I was just like, oh, there's some cool dresses here.
目前正在开展党纪学习教育，要真章实学，少始慎终，以学纪、知纪、明纪促进遵纪、守纪、执纪，大力弘扬以改革创新为核心的时代精神和青藏高原精神，激励党员干部进一步解放思想、转变观念，锐意进取、担当作为。坚持党训、党风、党纪一起抓，正三肃纪反腐相贯通，推进作风建设常态化、长效化，持续深化整治形式主义，为基层减负，完善业务推进不改腐、不能腐、不想腐工作机制，以风清气正的政治生态引领形成正气充盈的社会生态。 主干节何烈峰及中央和国家机关有关部门负责同志陪同考察。
87.73%，为应对6月22号的降水天气过程，修河上游的九江市武宁、修水等地陆续开启下方水电站、龙潭峡水库、三都水电站等多座水库和电站闸门进行预泄洪、腾出扩容，确保安全度汛。江西九江修水线龙潭峡电站工作人员张水根。
现在我们拉开了一次闸门，闸门高度是2.5米，在每秒泄泄流量为105个立方米左右。
在水库开闸放水期间，各地加强流域沿线河道水情监测巡查，确保下游和上游在水库预泄洪过程中安全。
目光转向安徽，受气象强降影响，黄山市1万多公顷农作物受灾，黄山各地全真地头查看受源田地，指导招后农业生产自救。总台记者梁一军，安徽台记者孙明娟报道。在安徽黄山市黄山区仙人镇王山村的一处蔬菜基地，大棚整体虽完好无损，但棚内被水淹的痕迹清晰可见，不少菜地、瓜地里枝叶倒伏。这个蔬菜基地有将近20亩大棚。
也进行了这个清淤活动，把这个河道里的淤泥进行及时清理，确保行人畅通，保证下游居民的生活生产安全。
在黑龙江省西关国市，连日来的降雨导致窝垦河水位迅速上涨。6月21日17时，窝垦河窝垦站水位130.85米，超警戒水位0.55米。水文部门预计，窝垦河将于6月24日早上迎来洪峰，洪水量级接近10年一遇。为了应对洪峰，窝垦河龙梦闸水坝开闸泄洪，周边多地出现内涝，洪水接近公路。武警部队第一时间出动官兵抢险救援，经过3个小时的连续奋战，在窝垦河两侧大坝加固堤坝40米，编制抗洪所需铁网300多个，填装沙石600立方米，确保了窝垦河周边人民群众生命和财产安全。
Instantly reveals Americans. So I guess the Europeans agree with you. It's the Americans who are noisy.
They just got very excited, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Hey, American listeners, so I guess we need to work on our indoor voices.
Well, if you disagree, let us know as well, I guess, because this is all about the fun little stories that we can discuss. I do feel like when I was in the States, when I was eating in restaurants, the overall noise is not that high. Like, people don't scream, they don't have really loud conversations. But for some reasons, I feel like once they travel abroad, the table just flips.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe Americans abroad are a self-selecting group, and they're actually different. My mom doesn't remind me of anyone that I've met abroad. She's like this sweet old lady, and she's like always kind and gentle and like drinking tea and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I don't know anybody like that who's an American in China. We're all rambunctious.
Because it is true if you think about it, when I was in the States.
我们来听总台记者焦浩的报道。
国委会日前发布关于对中国电动汽车反补贴调查的出彩披露，已从7月4号起对从中国进口的电动汽车征收临时反补贴税，税率为17.4%到38.1%不等，涉及的车企包括比亚迪、吉利、上汽等。商务部新闻发言人何亚东说，据企业反映，欧委会在对中国电动汽车反补贴调查中，索取中国电动汽车及电池企业生产经营、发展规划、技术工艺、产品配方等方面的大量信息，欧方搜集信息的种类、范围和数量前所未有，远超反补贴调查所需。比如要求中国企业详细提供电池成分和配方，还要求企业提供电动汽车生产成本、所有电动汽车零部件和原材料、主笔、采购信息、销售渠道和定价方式、在欧客户信息、供应链布局信息等等。中国车企还表示，欧委会在调查过程中多次称不合作就将面临不利裁决结果，强制要求企业提供上述信息。何亚东说，在中国企业尽最大可能配合调查，提供信息后，欧委会仍无端指责中国企业没有充分合作，对企业裁决惩罚性高额税率。中国企业对此非常震惊和失望。 欧方网乱做法缺乏事实和法律基础，罔顾世贸组织规则，破坏和平竞争，破坏全球绿色转型和开放合作。对此，中方坚决反对，将采取一切必要措施。
BK4OYL and the afternoon turbulence net, BK4MIK. Okay there, Ray. Okay, check. Anyone else wishing to call in to the afternoon turbulence net? Victor Kilo 4 Mike India Kilo. Yeah, BK4MIK and the group BK4FFKZ. Beautiful evening here in Innisfail, and the sky's somewhat cleared, and look forward to going on my walk tomorrow, hopefully. But good on you, Mel, and good on you, Ray, for keeping us informed of the particular event. So nothing else to report. Osberg, back to you, Ray, VK4OIL, VK4FFKZ. Thank you, Al. VK4 Foxtrot. If we plan it right and do it right, not just one, but the next time, we're involved with it around the another big Brigadier that I'm dealing with now, makes trying to make things worse to get feet on ground. Ex-Brigadier, he's got his hand in the pool with someone to be around the joint. So we get him, he's on side now, but if we develop that communication and put that plan before him, once we plan it out, don't go half stop, plan it out, so this is what we want to do, and this is the help we need. And you've got to be accurate and short, but up to the top, you know. I'm sure he will give us technical help from the inside of the working in my drift. That's good stuff. Thanks, Al. Well, I think Mike will be all the signals are holding up pretty well here. So thanks everybody, and thanks Mike for doing this job. VK4OIL, VK4OIL. Over. Yeah, VK4OIL and the Travelers and VK4MIK. Okay there, Ray, and well, thanks everyone for being there, because to be out here there is no net. And good evening to any Shortwave listeners, and we'll be back again tomorrow afternoon at 1500 or 5 p.m. And one last check before we close. Anyone wishing to call in? Any further comments? Good evening, Mike, lovely Joe, and good afternoon to everybody who's on the list. Cheers, catch you all up tomorrow. Yeah, cheers, Mel. Okay, this is VK4MIK, now closed in the afternoon Travelers Net to return to frequency to normal use 73. Thanks for being there, and hope you and Wendy make